Going live.
Michael Bowles, you're too ornery.
All right, we are live on Facebook on the Optimist International Facebook page with the Optimist Coffee Cafe. This is the first Optimist Coffee Cafe of the new Optimist year. Welcome. Yes. Congratulations to all of our officers who just finished their year and all of our incoming officers. And we have several of them here with us today. We have International President Mark Weinsoff here with us. And also Junior Optimist International President Sophie. Where did you go? And you'll tell me your name again. Pronounce your last name for me, Sophie.
Bourré. So it's Sophie Chanel Bourré.
Thank you. Thank you. So welcome to Optimist Coffee Cafe. And so it's a brand new year, right, for Optimist Coffee. And we have new themes. I am going to ask just, as we go through Optimist Coffee Cafe, if you're not speaking, go ahead and mute yourself and learn where that mute and unmute button is so that you can mute yourself so we don't have any of that background noise. If you can't get our attention or jump into the conversation, you feel free to use the nonverbal feedback to raise your hand, and I will pay attention to so that everyone has an opportunity to speak. But I'd like to start with Sophie, if we would. And Sophie, your theme for this is shooting for the stars. Can you tell us a little bit about that, what your expectations are for your year?
Yes, so the idea came to mind because, on the other side, because I've always been told to shoot for the stars in other galaxies, because if I miss, I would still land among the stars. And I want the Joy members to do the same, shoot for the stars of optimism while they're planning activities or anything they're doing this year, because they're going to accomplish them if they give it their all. And the logo, you can see it's an older Joy member holding the hand of a younger Joy member. So it'd be like the Octagon member holding a hand of an Alpha Club member to guide them to reach for the stars of optimism. So that's the little explanation behind my logo and what shooting for the stars of optimism means.
I really like that, because you're combining, the older junior optimist and the younger, and it indicates some mentoring, but also building that leadership pipeline for Joy, and encourage. I really like that.
Thank you.
So, and I'm opening it up to conversation for anyone. Questions for Sophie about her theme, or ideas for how to encourage the theme, or encourage activities related to the theme. And I see some things in the chat.
I would just like to say congratulations to Sophie. I'm so pleased to be working with you this year. We're going to do great things. And I'd like you to talk to us a little bit about the value of a Joy Club, sponsoring a Joy Club for our members who may not have sponsored one yet.
Yes, definitely. So it's a really good thing when the OI clubs create a Joy Club, because it gives the opportunity to Joy members, well, for youth in their communities to participate and have a volunteering platform. And it's also a good way for the clubs to create something new and participate in something that they might not have thought of. So it adds a lot of value to your club, because you're helping youth in your community give back to their communities.
And it's purple. I see in the chat. Oh, we like that. Got a little fuchsia in there.
Maybe somebody would like to share something that they've done with the Joy Club that has been inspiring to them.
So I don't have anything inspiring, but I do have a question. So in California, because of the way that laws have changed, the Joy Clubs in the Pacific Southwest cannot fundraise at the high school. Does anybody else have those kind of problems, or is that just a California problem? Because of Title IX, which is everybody that's in the school gets all their stuff paid for.
I know that for my school, it's a high school club, and sometimes we can't do fundraisers at school, so we just find alternatives and we do it in the community.
Okay.
So I think that's up to the maybe it's rules with the within the organization, but it might also be the high school directors and on that side of things.
Kathy, do you know if that applies to anywhere in the state or just at the high school, like Sophie was referring to?
So I just know that it's the Pacific Southwest because we have a couple of Joy Clubs, and that has been the problem the last 2 years. The clubs that are sponsoring the kids have been paying the dues, but now with the pandemic and no fundraisers, some of this is becoming harder and harder to pay for. And the school district has to approve of the fundraisers for the high schools in Santa Paula, and it has to be a year in advance. So that's the other problem.
Wow.
Are the Joy Clubs required to be in the high schools, or can they be community-based? Because if they're community-based, the school board can't control what they're doing.
And that's what I was going to pipe in to say, Marlene, that's a really good point. I know our Joy Club is community-based and not tied to a specific school. How many Joy Clubs do we have that are school-based, and how many do we have that are community-based? I know Jenny Ricker wanted to say something. Go ahead, Jenny, and then
I was going to ask Kathy if they had, during this time of the pandemic, if they had thought about virtual fundraisers with their Joy Clubs. We had a really good, Bonnie Jean has done a great job this year of last year of leading us as governor. And our whole district is now online as far as any type of web-based learning. And we had some really good training on virtual fundraising. And that might be something that some way, if they're doing it with the adult club, that you could get around your laws. I don't know, Kathy, we don't have those laws in South Carolina.
I think listening to you guys, I think maybe the best idea is to take it out of the high school and just go community, and then we don't have the restrictions because the high school is very set on how things are done, and some of the monies that were raised last year at the high school, you have to decide 6 months in advance how you're going to take and use the money. And so the money got tied up at the school, and the kids couldn't get it out to do what they wanted. So
that's outrageous.
Yeah. Well,
in our state, in our district, we've got at least 2, maybe all 3 levels of Joy Clubs in one of our cities, and it started out as an after-school homework help, sort of babysitting program. And when the people who were running it heard about Joy, joy clubs, they turned it into joy clubs. They've had several of their kids participate in our scholarship programs. They've had a couple of their kids win our scholarships. They've been very successful with this out of school joy program they've got. So that might be your only answer, your best.
And to follow that up, I've heard a lot of talk about doing some virtual fundraising, and I know we have some comments in the chat and some hands raised, but we have a webinar coming up on the 19th on virtual fundraising. It's an excellent presentation, so available for optimists and junior optimists. Great practical ideas for how to execute some virtual fundraising. So maybe put that shameless plug in there. Karen Watson, you had your hand up.
Yes, my district just started the very first Joy Around the World virtual Optimus, and they're from Canada, all over the United States, and they're working on fundraisers right now.
And the Caribbean.
And the Caribbean, we got several from the Barbados and Jamaica.
That's awesome. It's really great. Very exciting to have that international junior optimist virtual club.
Mm-hmm.
I think Julia, you had some comments as well.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Julia Cooper, and I'm currently the past president of Junior Optimist International. So I know there are a lot of concerns right now with, everyone wants to kind of build a joy club, or a lot of people are starting to get that message that it's a really cool thing to do. It's like the new thing, and it's really hard to do because of COVID. As I think it was Karen mentioned, we are starting a virtual club. There are people from all over the US, Canada, Caribbean, all that lovely stuff. So if you have kids that maybe aren't that strong leaders yet, and they want to join a club and learn a little bit about joy before they build clubs in their own area, this is a great way for them to get involved. So it's actually one of our past board members that has started this club. So she's really great. I'll link my email in the chat below so you guys can email me, have any questions about that. But yeah, there's a lot of resources right now because we are still trying to get lots of kids joining and lots of kids doing all the amazing things, just as much as last year and years past. So yeah.
So really like the Shooting for the Stars theme and the conversation around virtual fundraising, because we can leverage that to shoot for the stars of optimism and tie that in. And in this, have we thought about ideas for some virtual projects, how we can leverage that theme with some projects in the world of COVID?
So me and my board, we're going to be working on that during the year, especially our first official meeting, which is coming up. It's super exciting. But we are going to promote the virtual club because it is virtual and it's such a good way for members that are not the best leaders yet to learn about joy and possibly create a club where they live. But does anyone on the call have any ideas of virtual things we could do this year for your Joy members, or if you do have Joy members, obviously?
Sophie, this is Jenny Ricker from South Carolina. We do a lot of things virtually in South Carolina, and fundraising and projects are two of them. Just to give you an idea of what one of our clubs is doing as a virtual project, they have contacted the major telephone companies, the AT&Ts, the Verizons, the Spectrums, all those, and asked them to donate telephones to nursing homes so that family members can be in contact with their families that are in nursing homes face to face via Zoom or something like that. And we have found that the telephone companies are very willing to do that. It's a project for them also. It's giving back to the community and gives them a name in the community. And that might be something that your Joy organization may want to try, is something simple to start out with.
That's actually really cool, and like it's a really good initiative, and that's definitely something we can promote, the board. And another thing would be to do a lot of promotion on social media and communication. So communication is one of our board's biggest goal this year, is to improve that by creating a distribution list. I know in the past it's been very hard because some district governors or club presidents don't want to give out their emails, but it would be really good if we have a contact person for every district. That way we can add them to the list and send out the information so everyone is informed. And that way we can promote a lot of our virtual stuff.
Great idea.
So I will actually put my email in the chat so that you guys can send me your information either personally or to everyone. And that way I can add it to the distribution list if you would like.
Great. So, and I see we have Julia's email out there, and we'll have Sophie's email, and that's in the chat in the Zoom session. And so I'm going to ask, I have a couple of helpers in here, if Jen or Tracy would actually put that on the Facebook chat as well, so that those watching live will have that information. Any other Joy related conversation?
So our club sponsored an Alpha Club in our elementary school 2 years ago. The Alpha Club really focused on something called the Positivity Project. I know people have heard that, where it helps youth build positive relationships and become their best selves. And they focus on like 23 character strengths and all of that. So that's the huge project that Alpha Club is doing, that club that we sponsored. And they're really doing great things in the elementary school. So because you can't have everybody in a gym to do your monthly assembly, they're all doing it through Google Meet. So the teacher that runs the program and the assistant principal does the Google Meet, and they still do once a month that program, and they focus on a character strength each month. When they were in the gym and able to meet, they gave out awards to a class. So if the character strength was something like forgiveness or leadership, they gave awards out to the class that showed the best leadership or stuff like that. So I'm really proud, going back to Mark's comment, that's really inspirational, because they started that 2 years ago, and to see that take off and to build the Positivity Project, that's what the emblem on my shirt is. So to see the kids just take leadership of that, and to be able as a club sponsor that Alpha Club and just make a difference in that elementary school and see the assembly and see the kids with their chants and stuff, it was really taking off. And I'm really interested to see what the advisor and the kids do this year in the virtual world, even though they just kicked off this month, sorry, my days are blending together right now. So they kicked off this month, did it through Meet, and they're planning on doing a assembly on Meet every single month. So continuing on as if they were in the gym. So really, that's really inspirational to see at the elementary school level.
Wow, I really like that idea. Like, that's really cool.
I love the choose positivity option as well. Michael, when you were talking about your Alpha Club, I was thinking back to when the Joy Club I work with, which is a combination of Alpha and Junior, their first project was to crochet grocery bags, plastic grocery bags. They crocheted these bags into mats for the homeless. So they all learned how to crochet. They learned how to make take these grocery bags from Walmart and supermarkets and cut them into strips and make plastic yarn, and then crochet them into mats to be donated, because they can be rolled up and they're thick padding, and it's a great project. But that could be done virtually, because we're all still getting groceries and grocery bags, probably more than we want. And we had no shortage of grocery bags. It takes about 400 bags to make one mat. But that's something that could be done from their homes, and they can share progress virtually. There's learn to crochet videos virtually. So sometimes the skills we need, we can get virtually and do practice outside of meetings in that way.
And our club was generous. We kind of made an agreement with them, and we're probably going to still continue it. My board has to kind of vote on it, but we paid for all of their membership dues and everything. So for the first year, we were like, we're paying it all for you. Get on your feet, do your first fundraiser, and then when you're free, when you figure it all out and you're free, and you have a fundraiser to support yourself, but as a club, we sponsored you, and we're going to sponsor you until you have your feet on the ground and you're ready.
Great idea. What other, any other alpha clubs out there doing some projects, shooting for the stars? We can get them holding hands with those juniors and octagon clubs.
Bonnie Jean?
Yes.
Cheryl just put something in the chat that looks super cool to me. Cheryl Bolton. It's about a stargazing event that would be so cool to put together for all of the Joy members.
An online stargazing event. So what does that look like?
So check out space.com, and they have events throughout the different months at different times of the month, depending on what the stars aligned are. And you could have people from across from your international club all looking up at this. I mean, how did that song go from years? Okay, you young Joy kids don't know that song from that mouse movie. I don't remember what it was called, but anyways, underneath the same big sky. We're all underneath the same big sky. What an opportunity to stare at some stars and connect your youth together internationally.
Fifel Goes West. That was the movie, Fifel Goes West.
That's the movie, yes.
It would be really cool because it ties really well with the theme. And another reason I came up with this theme was because no matter where we are in the world, when we look up, we see the same stars. So when stargazing, we all see the same stars, depending.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
So just a thought for you, a little idea.
Mikey B says it was an American Tale. I think it's an American Tale, Fifel Goes West or something like that. I don't know, one of those American Tale movies.
Fifel Goes West, I think, was a sequel to American Tale.
It's about a mouse. It's cute.
About a mouse. It's cute. You're right. And I love the theme music. Was amazing. That's what's going through my head right now.
Just watch them both and you'll get the right one.
That's right. That's right. So love that under the stars gazing, shooting for the stars, and that could be an Optimus in action type thing where you're united across the Joy organization, see what Joy clubs can participate in. I love it. I love it.
And what young person doesn't like staying up all night to watch the stars?
Right. I don't know if I could do all night anymore.
But not on a school night.
Yeah, let's not.
My mom.
So we still have people coming in, which is great. Any other conversations about Joy or the theme, ideas that we can share?
School night nowadays, it doesn't matter about school nights because if they're doing school at home, they can do it at any time at home.
I guess it depends on
astronomy is a school subject.
Good point. Tie it into the curriculum some way. All right. So I see quite a few faces in here scrolling through. I see President elect Patsy Garner is here, and I know we're gonna start focusing a little bit on this year's theme, if we will, and it's choose optimism is Mark's theme, and International President Mark Weinsoff is here with us today to talk about his theme. I'm really interested in the expectations that not only what Mark has and words for the Choose Optimist theme, but what all of y'all's expectations are and ideas and on how we can make that theme come true this year. So Mark, tell us a little bit about your theme.
Thank you. I truly believe, I said this morning, that our organization can be the right organization at the right time for our society, because we're in troubled times and there's so much going on that are bothering people, whether it's being stuck at home or some of the other things that are going on. And if we choose optimism, we can overcome any obstacle. And why shouldn't our organization be the one that leads the way and shows everyone how optimism can help us through difficult times? And that includes our youth, because rather than post-traumatic stress from traumatic events, we can promote post-traumatic growth by using the principles of positive psychology that are scientifically proven. And if we can come up with youth programs to build resilience, that could be one of the best kinds of things that we can do as optimists. That's just one aspect of Choose Optimism. The fact is, science has now shown that optimists live happier, healthier, more successful lives. And when we think optimistically, we find solutions to problems. So the easy choice when we're faced with difficulties in life, the pessimistic choice, is to say, well, there's nothing I can do. These things happen. We just have to wait until good times happen again. The more difficult choice is the one that optimists make. That is, we have the power to create positive change, and let us step forward and show the way to everyone else and lead the way with optimism. So I'm encouraging, through the Choose Optimism theme, all of our clubs to change from optimist clubs to optimistic clubs. You know, we always talk about our service to youth, and we do a lot of good things in the work we do with children. And of course, that gives meaning and purpose to us as human beings and as our clubs. Let us also share optimism with ourselves and our communities, because we will benefit, we will have a greater sense of well-being, and our communities will be better off when we do that as well. And so let's work on promoting ourselves as optimists who do public service. And then people will come to us, because everyone, regardless of age, regardless of income, needs optimism in their lives. So this is my mission, is to change us from a service organization to an optimistic organization that does service to youth. And that will separate us from all of those other organizations out there that say that they help children. If we can promote an optimistic way of thinking, starting with children, then we will produce well-grounded adults who are resilient to difficulties. So that's it in a nutshell, the Choose Optimism theme. And I have many ideas in my club fitness committee. I know Edie Harris was going to be with us. They will have many ideas for your clubs to have optimistic gatherings. And then our activities committee, I don't know if Cherry Barnett is here, but they will be coming up with activities that promote optimism, as well as some of the ones we already did last year that were easily converted to virtual events for our modern times. And we will be focusing on optimism in every way throughout the year. And we believe at the end that will draw people to us, because optimism is attractive to people and everybody wants it. And in fact, when we create optimistic things in the community, there's a ripple effect. So if you smile with somebody, somebody else will smile, and they'll smile at the next person, and that has a widening effect in your community. So even just having one optimistic interaction with one person in your community will spread that throughout your community.
I really like the changing to a optimistic organization that does perform service, right? And flipping the switch a little bit. I'm really interested in other people's perspectives and ideas on how they would flip that switch in their own communities and shift the focus from a social perspective. Any comments or questions or?
We did have a question in the chat about themes. We're going to have quarterly themes during the year that we will focus on throughout the year. And they are starting with resilience and then happiness. We will be in March. I do want to mention this while I'm on this theme. The second quarter of the year, from January through March, we will be focusing on happiness. And the United Nations declared in 2012 the International Day of Happiness, which is on March 20th every year. And so I'm encouraging every Optimist Club to do something in their community to promote happiness on March 20th, 2021, as part of International Day of Happiness. And so that's the second quarter theme. The third quarter theme is rally, with thinking of the spring, rallying, growing, and reemerging from our winter cocoons. And then the fourth quarter is success, to celebrate and achieve the accomplishments that we set out to do at the beginning of the year. And before I go any farther, we introduce some special guests. I'd like to introduce First Lady Connie Weinsoff, if you'll give us a wave, and maybe my golden retriever Poppy is in the area, but she's at home. I'm in St. Louis for the grand opening and the start of the year, and very happy to introduce Connie, who I've missed for the last few days.
Yes, well, thank you. I just stumbled upon the coffee thing, so I was so glad I was home and we were in here, the dogs and I thought, oh, great, now I get to see if Mark's really in St. Louis. No, I'm kidding. But this has been really fun. I have not gone to one of these coffee platches before, and I've been really interested to see what they're like. They're awesome. So I'm really happy to be here, see everybody, and hopefully we'll be seeing you in person sometime in the next 8 months or 10 months or 12 months. I don't know. But in the meantime, yeah, this is great. Really good ideas. You should explain what you did on the Day of Happiness with your club. Tell them, give them an example.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, we've done this for several years in Santa Barbara. The first year we did it was on the main street in Santa Barbara called State Street. We set up what we called a happiness wall. And we had large Post-it notes, about 10 by 11 or something. They were pretty big. And we had people write on there, "I will share happiness today," and how they would do it, and post it on the wall. And we had media coverage. The local TV station came out. We had a sheet we had a table set aside for people to learn about the Optimist Club. And we had a great turnout. The wall was plastered with messages about how people would share happiness. The next 2 years, my Optimist Club at UCSB did that on campus. And March 20th happens to fall during finals week every year at the university. And so we had a lot of students. They would walk one way. We were on the big walkway, in the center of campus, and they'd be walking one way with sour faces, and then they'd come back from their finals and they would stop and they'd post on our wall, and we would take instant Polaroid pictures. Polaroid has instant camera pictures that were little, and we put them on the wall, and we wrote on how they would share happiness. And so many of them would say, "Oh, I really needed this today," because finals is such a stressful time for people. So that was very successful. And then we also did it at the university one time with pet therapy dogs there as well. So that was how we were sharing happiness with people, and college students are always away from their pets, and they love the opportunity to interact with the animals. So that was also an additional thing we did one year that was fabulous. So we've been doing it for several years, about 5 years now, and it's been great. We didn't do it this year, unfortunately, because of the situation.
So great ideas. I see Les Lowry has his hand up. Les?
Hi, hello everybody. Congratulations, Mark. I'm looking forward to working with you this year under your leadership. I know you're going to be a great president. Earlier, when you were talking about happiness and spreading optimism and such, I listened to your morning speech on Facebook, and it was very good. Afterwards, on Facebook, some suggested other prior things popped up that I could listen to, and one of them was Jim Boyd's elevator speech. And when you were speaking earlier on this Zoom meeting, I thought about what I heard because I did listen to it. And I just want to encourage those of you on here who haven't listened to that Facebook post from Jim Boyd, the elevator speech. It is very good. And it's right in line with what Mark was talking about spreading optimism. And I thought it was really good, well put together. He made some good points on it. And I think you'll get a lot out of it. So that was it.
Thank you, Les. Any other questions or comments about the Choose Optimism theme, ideas, or about the 4 quarter themes?
I have something to add for the 4 quarter themes. So the Joy Board has decided that we are going to have the same themes so that the Joy side and the OI side of things can work together to make this year great by choosing optimism and by shooting for the stars of optimism.
Excellent.
Yes.
What other comments? I'm scrolling through to see if anyone has their hands raised in the camera, but feel free to unmute and jump in. So I think about changing flipping that switch and the service. We're not just a service organization. We're an optimistic organization that provides a service or that does service projects and your resilience first quarter theme in a time where we're still trying to figure out, can we do our big service projects? I know my club has one that we do every fall. We had 600 kids last year, and we're restricted right now, so we can't do that. So we're thinking, okay, well, can we combine it with our spring and plan it that way? But what can we do in the first quarter to still be optimistic and provide that service in a different world? And so, trying to demonstrate that resilience. We have other who are struggling with the same things or have overcome that, come up with some different ideas on how they're going to show that resilience and choose optimism in the first quarter. Mary Hatfield, you have your hand up.
I do. We had that same concern in my little club. And so I thought, well, maybe the schools need our help some way in addition to the dictionaries that we give the 3rd graders. So I contacted the schools to see if maybe they needed more thermometers to test their kids to help keep them in school. So, I just emailed them, and by golly, many schools said, oh, we need more thermometers. So glad you asked. So we're just sending them checks to cover the cost of their thermometers. And then we're having little photo shoots outside their building, everybody wearing a mask. But it's still one way we're reaching out to the community. And then we mention other things that we do for kids, like the coats in the wintertime thing. But it's just something small, but yet we're still keeping ourselves out there and providing a service.
And that's a really good point, Mary, in that the needs of the schools have changed with all of this. And it's important that we communicate with them and understand what those needs are and help to meet those. Marlene.
One of the things that I hadn't thought about and we actually got a request, and we're very happy to fill it. Teachers have to have a separate water supply for each kid in the classroom. So every kid needs their own drinking container. And that's something, you know, that you can get Tupperware or wherever. And that, you know, you can help. We can help. And the teachers appreciate it. And it's just something we can do.
And I'd like to add to that. It's great that you're mentioning educator. I'm a network administrator in a school district. A lot of people probably know that, or most of you. Teachers and school staff are really, they need optimism right now more than anything. I've been working like 10, 12-hour days trying to get technology running for a school district, but you have teachers that are moving their curriculum fully online, everything. So teachers just need, even if you write them a card and say, thank you for what you're doing, because our school's in person, so that helps the parents out a little bit until something happens if there's another outbreak. But even writing a card to a teacher, thanking them. One idea I had was, I was gonna do this last year on Optimist Day, I forget what day that is, was even leaving like a Hershey Kiss or something in every teacher's mailbox. And I think now thinking of it, I'm gonna try to get it cheap because I have no funding practically. I'm gonna do it on the International Day of Happiness. So even buying a Hershey Kiss and putting like choose optimism on it and leaving it in their mailbox, it's something small, but you wouldn't realize how small sometimes something the smallest just shows somebody that you're thinking of them. So even doing that small thing, like leaving a Hershey Kiss in their mailbox and saying choose optimism or you're appreciated. So you can do those small things. You don't have to spend a lot of money on that. And my other thing I wanted to do was, I've seen Facebook posts that sometimes bash board members, teachers sometimes, or not even education systems. So my challenge this year that I have to post on social media is to post one optimistic thing a day. So instead of posting, I disagree with this, why wasn't it this way? Wake up in the morning and post what you're optimistic about. And if you can make that a habit and do 365 of them, and if you don't have social media, you can even put it in a jar. I know on Instagram, they sometimes use those canning jars and put paper in it. But I just want people to post on social media something optimistic they're about, because social media can get overwhelmed sometimes.
Thank you for those great ideas. Thank you for those great ideas, Michael. Those tie perfectly into what the Choose Optimism theme is all about. And it can be as simple as just giving a candy to somebody. You don't have to go big about all this stuff. And your second thing about posting something positive is so important. And it falls into three practical things that I think you can do to bring optimism into your life or your club meetings every day. And the first one is gratitude. Being grateful for people in your lives or things that have happened, even in difficult times. Focusing on gratitude, the things you're grateful for, helps you spot even more things to be grateful for, and let some of those other things go by the wayside. And then positive intent is so important, and that's what can be in these optimistic posts that you're encouraging. And so that's the second thing. Just thinking it like at your club gathering, as you leave for the day, before you do the Optimist Creed, take a moment to think about or even talk about what you're going to do as you leave your club that day to have a positive impact on the world after you leave your Optimist Club. And then the third one is hope. And that's what optimism really gives us. Optimists know this world is not a perfect place, but we have the fact that we know we have the power to create positive change gives us hope that things will be better in the future, thanks to our efforts. So, Michael, you're right on with all of your ideas. Thank you so much. And I loved your Alpha Club ideas as well. So keep it going.
Yeah.
I opened my remarks this year with telling my club members, because I'm president this year, of I referenced your Choose Optimism theme. And last night we finalized our budget. We have no income right now because most of our things are canceled. And one of our members, instead of cutting all of our service projects and going, let's cut everything, make it zero. One of our members was like, we are Optimist. No, we have no fundraisers now. Let's not cut everything. We're going to raise money. We're going to find a way to raise money, and we're going to be Optimist. So we're not going to cut Youth of the Month. We're not going to cut that. We're going to figure out a way to raise money. And I'm going to go back to a theme a couple of years ago, the difference between optimism and reality. I think it was something along that lines. We do have a savings account, so if we do have to dip into that, but it's not, we have to be optimistic and choose optimism and not cut all of our funding. Or cut all of our programs. We have to go out and be optimists and raise money somehow.
One thought I had, and what our club's been doing is, again, we don't meet, we're all meeting virtually, and there's only 6, 7, 8 of us at a time. But what we've done is we've been cleaning out the house. So we've gotten all our children's books from our kids, and we've been putting them in the little libraries at the schools. So the kids will have, books because they're all required to read for 15 minutes a day in class. A second thing we've done is taken those books to the Child Crisis Center here in El Paso, where every child can have their own special book that they can take with them to their new home, and at least they have something that's theirs, because these children have so little. And that's part of the resilience of seeing these children survive. And we're talking about fundraisers, places like Wendy's, Boss's Chicken, McDonald's, all of these, you can maybe ask for a special night where X number, percentage of their proceeds go to your club. That way, we're still keeping the social distancing, and everybody's eating out because we're so tired of cooking.
Can you tell us? Can you tell us your name and what club you're with? Because I think people are interested in what you're saying and would love to get in touch with you.
I'm Pat Seward, and I'm from the Sierra Vista Optimist Club, El Paso, Texas. And they say hello, Sandy, and hello, Linda. They've all come to see us.
Well, thanks for those great ideas. And my Optimist Club, we were concerned about when some of the racism issues were being raised and worried about youth, how they were taking these kinds of things that were going on and understanding. We purchased a lot of books that were written for children, specifically a Sesame Street one. And we distributed that to the Isla Vista Youth Project and to the family so they could have open conversations with their young children about those things in age-appropriate ways.
Les, you have your hand up, and then Kathy also does after Les.
Okay. In Jefferson Parish, which is where our club's located, which is in the Metro New Orleans area, we got together with, don't be mad at me for naming these other organizations, but we got with Kiwanis, Rotary, Knights of Columbus, and several other organizations in our parish. And we do a rewards for reading program for all the elementary and middle schools in Jefferson Parish. And our club sponsors 3 of those schools, and the program unfortunately has been suspended because of the COVID situation. But in order for us, kind of what Michael was talking about earlier, we decided as a group to do something special for the teachers. And so all of the clubs that have schools in that rewards for reading programs, just last week, me and the incoming president to my club went to our 3 schools, and everybody else from the other organizations went to the schools they sponsored, and we delivered donuts during the week to all of those people. And the teachers, I tell you, we weren't out the door, and they were, we had about 6 dozen for every one of those schools, and they were ripping the cellophane off of this big box that we delivered them in, and we're digging in, and we took pictures of all of them, and we had Optimist Club materials out there for them and such. And we got a lot of PR out of it that I wasn't even expecting. As a matter of fact, they called me just yesterday, as a matter of fact, and invited me to go to the school board meeting on the 7th they wanted to interview me and just thank me for doing the schools that our club did. And I wasn't expecting that, but so we're going to get even a little extra press and recognition from that. And our school board meetings are televised live in the entire parish. So it's really a plus. It'll give us an opportunity to spread information out about the Optimist Club and what the Optimist Club does, and also why we wanted to take care of our teachers so much.
To add into mine a little bit, on the books, we put a book plate in each book. So, and it says, enjoy your read, compliments of the Sylvester Optimist Club. That way it got our names out to the families, and hopefully we can maybe do a little recruiting.
Great idea. Kathy, you had your hand up.
So the Santa Paula Optimist Club, which is in the Pacific Southwest District, we partner with the library. And so like for Halloween this year, the city of Santa Paula is putting together 900 bags of arts and crafts and candy. And we're partnering with the library to give as many books as we can. And when we do Student of the Month, we get 5 or 10 slightly used books from the library, because most of our students in the community are lucky if they have a book to call their own. So our Student of the Month get books. Books are the way to go in California. They're readily available. I've moved to Sacramento and I've been giving away a lot of kids' books, even though you can see I have one here. And they have little library boxes all through Sacramento that are just in people's front lawns. And, we borrow the books and give them back, or we give other books, putting an Optimist logo on this. And, these are ways to take and have optimism. My granddaughter, we take to the park every day and she wants to look, Grandma, we got to look in the box. What books? So she loves it. It puts smiles on everybody's faces. Mark is talking about, making people happy. Kids getting a book in all our minds is the best thing.
And you said a couple of words, Kathy. I love the books concept, but one of the words you said was partnership, right? We do a project called Reading in the Park in South Carolina, and we partner with Books A Million to do a book drive prior, right? So Books A Million, we just give them some flyers, talk to them in advance, give them some flyers, they hang them up, and they sell books for us. So they're selling books. It's a win for them. We get free books. As people come into Books A Million, they say, hey, do you want to donate a book to the Optimist Club? And people do. And we get boxes and boxes and boxes of books over the 1 or 2 week book drive. We collect them all, and then we go to the park and we give them out, and all kids get free books. When we do this, parents bring boxes and boxes of books, and we end up with this huge amount, probably, I think there's like 8 or 10 tables full of books for kids to pick through, and they all go with as many books as they want. We always end up with extra books that we then in turn turn around to give to teachers. And the improvement that I gathered from this is we need stickers that have the Optimist logo on them and the creed to put inside every single one of those books. Great concept and ideas, that partnership, the reading, the helping the school needs, and the branding. Love it.
Yeah, I love putting the creed on those stickers because it shares optimism, you know, every time they open that book.
And I love the little library concept. I keep thinking about that is, you know, how can I get these little libraries all over my town without making my husband build them all? I mean, he
sponsors.
Well, there was a story I saw online yesterday that there was a town, it was on Facebook, but there was a town where a dad started making wooden desks for cheap for kids. And dads around the town started pitching. I think he posted the plans online, and dads around the town started building wooden desks. So it became like this. So if you start with one library or one wooden library, maybe you post the plans out in your community and somebody else can, and then have other people in your community just keep building little book libraries.
Awesome.
And I know a church in our area, instead of putting books in one, they made one for food. So there's canned food, stuff like that. So instead of books around here, or there is a book one across the street from me, but the church here also does a food one.
Linda, you had your hand up.
I just wanted to give a shout out. Mark Clausen isn't on the call, I don't believe. However, his Joy Club, you probably know the name, really attached to Joy. They have a huge reading program that they do. And they do it in conjunction with the city, and they buy books for all of the kids in the community. But there are events that go on. They usually have a mascot from the book. I remember in the past one was Zinc the Zebra, and Zinc the Zebra would go around with the Optimist Club and hand out the books and do a little performance at each of the schools. So, you know, while you're on Facebook, take a look for Mark Clausen and the Joy Clubs and what they're doing with the reading programs.
Great ideas. Laquita.
They were talking about and you were talking about the little book buildings. We have a club in Louisiana, in Lake Charles, and what they did with that idea was they got a sort of a bookshelf, a small one, and we have Calcasieu Parish, where Hurricane Laura hit and wiped Lake Charles off the map there a month ago. But we've got a large jail there. And what they did was, several years back, they gathered a lot of children's books, and they took this bookshelf and got permission. They have put it in the waiting room for the visitors to go see the prisoners. And when the families go to visit, a lot of times, unless the kids bring something to keep themselves occupied, they have nothing to do. And so this gives those children something to do, and they're allowed to take the books home with them if they want to. And the club, on a consistent basis, keeps an eye on it and restocks it with books. On a second note, you were talking about making your poor husband build all those bird baths. Bird nests is what it makes me think of, a book nest. My mother went to church with a man years ago who loved to tinker with carpentry. And when he retired, he started making bird houses on a post. They were about 3 to 3.5 feet tall, and he would decorate them. Different bird. He would put fake birds on them and flowers and stuff. And at Christmas, he wouldn't sell them. He gave them away as gifts, or for the church group he belonged to, it was the Christmas gift that they would draw names for the people who attended. And my mama won 2 of them through the years. But that would be something to find. Ask people you know if they know a retired man who has nothing else to do and likes
so yeah,
carpentry. He may make a bunch of them for you.
Thank you, Gail. And actually, Don Keating put in the chat a link to the littlefreelibrary.org. And I believe there's resources out there for that. We are getting to the end of our time. I do see Terry Gorman had his hand up. I want to give for a little bit, and I want to give him opportunity to comment or question before we switch into the next portion. We switch out of Optimist Coffee into something else. But Terry, go ahead and give your comment, if you will.
Thanks, Bonnie Jean. Two things, and quickly. One is our club for the last 5 years, instead of giving out candy and parades, we give out bookmarks that have the Optimist Creed, the link to our club and Optimist International, and the scholarship contest. We give out over 10,000 of these a year, and parents are so excited not to get candy dropped in their bags, but something they can use to encourage reading. So that's another thing. Very simple, inexpensive, great way to do it. Second thing we have, and we just started because you're talking earlier about funding and our funding problems this year, we've just kicked off a campaign called Coins for Kids. And we're asking people to, at just about every home, the average, they have coins they've just taken out of their pocket, thrown in a jar, put it on the table somewhere. And the average is about $50 per household. And we're asking people to bring those coins in. We're going to have a coin collection day, and we hope to give maybe some coupons to local businesses, might give them a discount. But we hope to bring in some money this way. And because there's a huge coin shortage in the country right now, so we're kind of doing a two partnership there called Coins for Kids. So a couple of ideas that pretty simple, and tip your couch upside down and watch the quarters fall out.
Excellent idea. And there's a whole different conversation going on in the chat about the Avenue of Flags. So, and documents going and links. So I think we'll probably at another Optimist Coffee talk more about Avenue of Flags and that program before we shift gears, because we want to give President Mark an opportunity to install his vice presidents. Another shameless plug that we do have our Fun Friday edition of Optimist Coffee tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central. And it's Fun Friday, and that, every 5 weeks we'll have a Fun Friday night Optimist Coffee. And tomorrow night we'll be playing Family Feud. So register for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And that's my shameless plug. So thank you so much for joining us for Optimist Coffee. We're going to continue with the live to transition into the installation. I will ask that if you are not one of the vice presidents being installed, if you would please turn off your camera.
And Sophie, if Sophie's still here, we'll have her keep her camera on as well.
Yes. So if you will go ahead and turn off your camera, and we will just look at I will turn mine off too, and we'll focus on we'll hide the non-video participants. And so then I see, Mark, I'm looking for your vice presidents. We have almost all of them. Carol, I don't know if you have your video. I don't see you, but.
One of our vice presidents was going to have difficulty with the time.
Okay.
So we might only have 7, but I see 1, 2, and Patrick, we don't know. So we might only have 6. 1, 2, 3. We have the 6 that I know were coming, so we may be okay there.
Okay. Well, I'm going to turn my video off then, and holler if you need me.
Okay. Well, fantastic. We did not get an opportunity to install our vice presidents or recognize our vice presidents at the International Convention. So we wanted to take this opportunity to do it on their first day of office. But another person having their first day of office is our Joy International President, Sophie. And you, Sophie, are a member of the board of directors of Optimist International as well. And I know Julia Cooper did some fantastic reports last year, as the Joy International presidents always do. Throughout my 6 years on the board, it's been a highlight of our board meetings to hear from our international president. So I wanted to install you as well. I don't know if we normally would do that, but since you're here and we're doing everybody else, I thought this would be a great opportunity to install you in office as well. And for all of our vice presidents and our International Joy president, you were all elected to office by your by our club members in our respective areas, and they have shown their faith in you as a leader and placed their trust and given you the responsibility to fulfill the mission of Optimist International and Junior Optimist International. So I know you appreciate the honor that's been conferred upon you, and it does not come unearned. Each of you have demonstrated your leadership and devotion to our organization, and by your election, delegates have proven and recognized you as somebody who would be worthy and fulfill the mission of our organizations. So if you would all raise your right hand, please. And what I'm going to do, because in Zoom, it doesn't translate very well to have you all repeat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the oath of office for you. And at the conclusion of that, if you would just say, I do, that will suffice for our purposes today. So in the presence of the Optimist Club representatives here assembled, do you solemnly promise and pledge that you will discharge the duties of your office to the best of your knowledge and ability?
Will
do.
I hope we heard everybody. So that being the case, it is my privilege, my pleasure, and my honor to install you in your respective offices of Vice President and Joy International President, Junior Optimist International President. And if the Vice Presidents who have pins to place, feel free to do that at this time. If you have a special partner who would like to do that, do that. And congratulations to everyone. We're starting off. We're going to have a fantastic year. I know you've all been working. Sophie and the vice presidents have been working all year. And Teresa Evans, one of our vice presidents, is on Facebook Live. So I extend my congratulations to you as well. We're looking forward to a great year. We've done the groundwork for the last year and a half, and now it's time to get off and running and carry on the great achievements that our organization has been doing for the last 100 years.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Congratulations, everyone.
We all got the dot.
Congratulations. And thank you so much for joining us today, President Mark and President Sophie and all of the vice presidents for Optimist Coffee and your installation. So we will say goodbye and congratulations. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Choose optimism.
Choose optimism.
Optimism.
Bye.